Hello and welcome to the Matchroom series. Now you're about to see a special profile of the player affectionately known as the funny man of snooker, Dennis Taylor. Well, a joker he may be, but he's also a tremendous player. How else could he have beaten Steve Davis in that breathtaking finish to the '85 World Final? Incidentally, stay watching at the end of this video for details of other profiles in the Matchroom series.
Dennis Taylor, world snooker champion, a man whose jokes are as plentiful as the titles that he's collected during his career. His famous trademarks are his enormous spectacles and his humour.
Dennis had been a pro for 13 years and we'd worked together on a number of things. And Dennis, of course, what can you say? He's a very, very funny guy.
And a free ball as well. Do you know, he's so unlucky, Rex. He bought a suit last week with 2 pairs of trousers and burned a hole in the jacket.
I mean, he does not stop telling jokes the whole way around. He's a fantastic professional. I would say he worked as hard as anybody in the year he won the World Championships. But he's always worked hard. He's always been a grafter. And he comes from a background in Northern Ireland, and then when he moved over to England, where he didn't have a lot of money, and he appreciates the good things. He doesn't take money. I think the only criticism I'd make of some of the younger players today is the money comes too easily to them, and they perhaps lose the value of it. Whereas someone like Terry Griffiths and Dennis Taylor, they know what it's like not to have any, and they can't believe what's happened, and they're very, very pleased it has. But sometimes almost grateful, which I think is nice, because they give millions of people pleasure, but they're still very grateful for the fact that they're working every day. And Dennis, as I say, you know, if you draw the short straw, you sit next to Dennis Taylor because he just tells you jokes all day. And I've never known him run out stories. He's a great guy and a great character.
Anybody in here that wears glasses and plays snooker, they'll know how tough the game is to play. Now, a good few years ago, there's a fellow in Manchester who used to play a lot of money matches, and he fixed this challenge match up for £1,000, which is quite a bit of money when they used to. It's going back about 15, 20 years ago. And he fixed this challenge match up for £1,000. He'd heard about his opponent, but he'd never seen the fella playing. So when the fella arrived at the club, he'd got a pair of thick bifocals on. And the other fella was rubbing his hands. He thought, well, this is going to be the easiest money I've ever made. So they set off to play the best of 9. The fella with the bifocals won the first 5 games. He potted everything. And the other fella went up to him at the end, shook his hand, and he said, well, that's amazing, but how do you manage to play like that with a pair of glasses? And the fella says, well, it's quite simple. When I get down to take a shot, he said, they're bifocals, so I see a big ball and a little ball, and I see a big pocket and a little pocket, so I pot the little ball into the big pocket. Now, this is a true story, this. The other fella thought, well, I could do with a pair of those. So he got himself a pair. They rearranged another challenge match. This fella arrived back at the table with these new bifocals. He was just going to break off and he had to go to the toilet. Anyway, he came back from the toilet and his right trouser leg was absolutely wet through from top to bottom. And the other fella says, my God, what happened to you? And the fella says, well, I got in there. You're making your own story of that. He said, I got in there. He said, I took it out. He said, I've seen a big one and a little one, and I thought, that can't be mine, and I put it back again.
My eyes are so bad. In fact, I used contact lens in 1979. I got to the final of the World Championships, and it made a vast improvement. But I couldn't really get on with the lens, and I had to go back to playing without any aid. And eventually Jack Clarnham, who commentates for the BBC, he made me a pair of glasses similar to the ones that he uses, because he's a professional player and also wears spectacles. And they're the ones that got all the
But
publicity.
they are actually upside down. I mean, close up, they are definitely.
They look like
as though
they're upside down, that's right. And as I say, the first time I wore them, I felt very embarrassed. Never thought about the gimmick side of it. But of course, when I did so well with them and won the championship, they turned out to be the biggest gimmick of all time. And that's why I finished up with these multicoloured ones, because a few of the other players started using similar ones. So I thought, well, as soon as I started them off on the television, I'll get a pair of coloured ones, and surely nobody will copy these.
What do they actually do when you're looking? I mean, how do they improve the vision?
Well, I'm just short-sighted, so everything, the balls look bigger, the pockets are bigger, which is a good thing. I mean, we've been trying to get a pair that makes the balls smaller and the pockets bigger, but we can't manage that. And the long shots are so much easier to play as well. You know, clipping off a red to get back down the table again. That's much easier. And I'm seeing the balls better now than when I was 9 or 10 years of age.
Yeah.
So.
Talking of shots, particular shots, I mean, are there any three that you remember in your career that have stood out?
Yeah, I suppose it's at the start of my career, and when I won that, you have to watch these cues, they're a bit this fella's a bit dangerous anyway. If he doesn't hit you with that spiky hairdo, he'll kill you with a cue. One of the best shots I've ever played, that was a good shot, Brendan, white going in. One of the best shots I ever played was the first year I played in the pot black. It was against Fred Davis, and I'd won the frame, more or less, and we were on the pink. And I tried quite a spectacular shot, which the black was on its spot, and I was up near the side cushion, and the red was on the balk line on the side cushion. And I potted the pink into the bottom pocket. The white stopped and then screwed all the way back up the table and finished right on the black. So that's one that I'll never ever forget. And then I think when I won that World Championship against Steve Davis, I potted a brown at the end of the frame. Couldn't really play a safety shot, and I had to go at a very difficult brown, and with the pressure that was on me, I couldn't believe how well I hit the shot. Knocked it in.
Just quieten down, please. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.